Alright, so welcome to today's lesson. So right now guys, we're gonna be discussing how to deal with reduction formulae, right? Double angles and compound angles. But these are the foundation of mastering trig. If you can master these guys, then you should be good. Now you might want to have your cast diagram very much handy, because this is what we're gonna be using to solve most of our problems. Okay, so your cast diagram, remember, we should have it like this, whereby all of them are positive in here, only sign is positive in here, tan, and then here we have cos. Okay, so remembering also that this is 0 degrees, 360, you got 90, 180, and then you got 270 degrees. Now please remember that in this quadrant, it is the quadrant for 90 minus theta, or for theta, or for 360 plus theta. Then we're gonna have 180 minus theta, and then we're gonna have 180 plus theta in here, and then we're gonna have 360 minus theta. Now if you can remember from what we were discussing, we said we usually prefer acute angles, not really because they are cute angles by their name, but we just really prefer them. So what we mean is that if I were to have right now sine 200 degrees, I want to reduce that so that I have an acute angle. I want sine of an acute angle, not sine of this angle that is very big. Okay, that's because acute angles are very cute, right? So here we would write this thing. For us to do that, right, we would first of all write sine, but then you will ask yourself, 200 degrees, where is it in terms of this cast diagram? Well, 200, it is bigger than 90, but it is also bigger than 180, but it is smaller than 270. So we can say 200 degrees is somewhere in here in the third quadrant. So because it is in the third quadrant, we look at the formula in the third quadrant. It is 180 plus. So sine 200, you write it as 180 plus what? A certain acute angle that you must add to get 200. How much must I add to get 200? Yes, I must add 20 degrees. This is the acute angle, because remember, acute angles are angles smaller than 90 degrees. And those are the ones we love the most. They are very cute. So therefore, for you to write your answer, you would write sine of the acute angle, meaning sine of 20. But good people, you must indicate whether it will be negative or whether it would be positive. But then now, for you to know that, right, you look at the quadrant. This quadrant of 180 plus, it is the third quadrant, and in that quadrant, tan is the only one that is positive. So hence your answer here must be negative. So never ever forget to indicate whether it is negative or is positive. Now let's say we have cos 225 degrees, right? If we find ourselves having cos 225, you need to locate the 225. Well, 225 is bigger than 180, but is smaller than 270, so it's still the third quadrant. So you'd write that cos as 180 degrees plus a certain angle. So how much must we add to get 225? Yes, 45. You must add 45. Good. Then you then say cos of the 45, the acute angle. But you must indicate whether it's negative or it's positive. So in this quadrant, it's only tan which is positive. So hence the answer will be negative cos 45. In doing that, guys, you will be very, very okay. Okay. What if we happen to have sine 180 degrees minus x instead of having an angle? You see here you had an angle, right? But what if we don't have an angle, but then you are given like this? Well, if you are given like this, good people, what I want you to do, you must rejoice. Every time you see something like this, you must feel some warmth, some happiness in your heart. Why am I saying that? Because 180 minus x, already you can tell that it is the second quadrant. You see, they're already giving you the quadrant. You don't have to locate it. For example, if I give you 200, you must first of all say, 200 is bigger than 90, yeah, and it's bigger than 180, but smaller than 270, so it's here. You see, you take some time. But if I give you 180 minus x, immediately you know that I'm talking about here. So you immediately say, no, I need sine of the acute angle, meaning sine of x. However, you must indicate whether it's negative or positive. You check it is positive in this quadrant, so your answer will be positive. You don't have to write a plus. You must have the mathematical eyes to see the plus there. If I give you cos 180 degrees plus x, the moment you see this, you must rejoice, because already they're telling you that it is in this quadrant. You run to that quadrant and then you say, is tan positive, cos positive or negative in there? It is negative. Then you're going to have negative cos of the acute angle, which is the x. As simple as that, good people. But then if you happen to have sine x minus 180, now here you should be a bit sad, because actually here it would be a negative angle, because remember we work with positive 180 degrees plus or minus theta, positive 360 degrees plus or minus theta, positive 90 degrees plus or minus theta. So if you happen to have minus 180, it means you are dealing with a negative angle, because it means here we have a minus, whereas we usually work with positives. So these ones, they will be your negative angles. Now remember, I have a whole video on negative angles, but then here, just to remind you, you first of all rearrange. So you would write that as sine negative 180, then you would write plus x. Then after that, good people, you would say sine, you take the negative out, then you say negative times negative is positive, so you can have positive 180. Then you say negative times positive is negative, so you're gonna have negative x there. Then from there, good people, you can then say, remember, you drop this negative if you are dealing with sine here or tan, but if it was cos, you were not going to drop it. So we're gonna drop it and write sine, then we write what is in the brackets, that 180 minus x. Then good people, now which quadrant is 180 minus x? Remember, that is the second quadrant, and in the second quadrant sine is positive. So I'm gonna write this negative first outside, then I'm gonna say, I wrote the negative first, right? Then I say, in this quadrant, is sine positive or negative? Well, in that quadrant is positive, so in brackets I'm gonna write positive sine x. Then my final answer will be negative sine x. The more you do these, the faster you'll be able to do them. So yeah, it's good, guys, it's good. I hope that is clear. That is how we work with the negative angles. That is how we work with these reduction formulae. If you understand this, you are probably gonna be having a very good time with trigonometry, believe me. So let's maybe expand to 90 plus and 90 minus, just to remind ourselves how we work with those. Now if we have sine 90 minus x, please remember that because it is a 90, that sign would change to cos, and then you write that angle. But it will be positive because 90 minus is in the first quadrant where all of them are positive. If I have cos 90 minus, then because it's a 90 minus, it means cos will change to sine, okay? And then therefore it will be positive because 90 minus, all of them are positive. If it happens that you have sine 90 plus, because you have a 90 there, the sign would change to cos, but then it will still be a positive because sine is positive in this quadrant, because 90 plus, remember, it is this quadrant. 90 plus theta, it is this quadrant here, second quadrant, whereby sine is positive. So that's why the answer is positive. You don't look at the cos, you look at this sign that is at the start. if you have cos 90 plus x, right, your answer there would be negative sine x. Because it's a 90, cos change to sine, but you put a negative because cos is negative in the quadrant 90 plus. I'm trying to repeat that so that it sticks in the mind, in the brain. So please understand that. And then if it happens that the examiner does not really wake up on the right side of the bed, you can be given something like sine x minus 90 degrees. Ooh, don't look carefully first before you make an answer. X minus 90. Remember, we usually work with either 90 plus theta or 90 minus theta. But if I put the negative here on 90, it means I'm dealing with a negative angle. Because here it's negative 90, it means I'm dealing with a negative angle. So if I'm dealing with a negative angle now, for me to solve that, what should I do? I should rearrange first. So I'd write that as negative 90 plus x. Then I'm gonna say sine, I take the negative out. Negative times negative is positive, and then negative times positive is negative. Then remember, because I'm dealing with sine, I'm gonna write that negative outside. So I'm gonna have negative sine 90 minus x. Now check, guys, check. I'm going to drop this sign, so I'm gonna write that negative, and then I'm gonna open a bracket and say now, and sine, is it positive or negative in 90 minus? In 90 minus, sine is positive. But then because it's a 90, that sign will change to cos. So your final answer will be negative what? Cos x. Take a minute to understand that, absorb that. So we're going to proceed now to double angles and compound angles. Okay, let's take our cast diagram along. So double angles and compound angles are what is there in your grade 12 now. This is the start of grade 12 trigonometry. So we're just gonna write here that we have double angles and compound, but we're gonna start with compound angles. Compound angles. So what are compound angles? Yeah, it's very easy to understand, guys. Compound angles are any angles that are separated by a plus or a minus. Any angles that you can write as this angle plus that angle is a compound angle. But usually this is how you know that we're going to be dealing with compound angles. If you can remember the reduction formulas that we have discussed so far, it is 90 degrees plus or minus theta, it is 180 degrees plus or minus theta, and then 360 degrees plus or minus theta. Now, what if I were to give you cos 60 degrees plus x? Now, how would you reduce that? Remember, we like the acute angle. So now, how would you reduce cos 60 plus? Because it's not part of the cast diagram. I mean, I don't see 60 degrees there. So how would you do it? What if I give you cos 30 degrees plus x? How would you reduce that? What if I give you sine 45 degrees minus x? How would you reduce that? What if I give you tan, or not tan? What if I give you sine? But even tan is fine. But what if I give you sine 45 degrees plus x? How would you reduce that? What if I give you sine 75 degrees plus x or plus theta? How would you reduce that? As you can see, you have 60, 30, 45, 75. These are angles that are not part of the reduction formulas we have learned so far. So we can't, we have to know how to work with them. That's where compound angles come into play. So to understand compound angles, the first thing we will need to do there is understand their formulas. From there we'll come back and solve all of these. Okay, so the formulas for compound angles are given in the formula sheet, but you don't really need a formula sheet, you just need to memorize. In fact, if you can just remember that cos is a lady, I usually take cos as a lady. If you can take cos as a lady, your life is gonna be easy. By the way, the name of this lady is Vivian. Why do I call cos Vivian? Don't worry. Through the journey of trigonometry, everything will make sense. We are still going to come to 2D and 3D. Then Vivian will come as a very, very important name to remember. But for now, let's just understand that cos is a lady. But the one that we like, the lady that we usually prefer, is the negative lady. That is the one we start with, right? Because let's remember, guys, or let's remember, ladies, when you are born, are you born happy? Those tears are not tears of joy, good people. So you are born very, very angry. So now it means you are born in a negative situation. So the negative one is the one we're going to start with. So we're going to start with cos A minus B. Okay, cos A minus B, the negative one. That is the one we start with. So what is the formula for cos A minus B? How do you expand cos A minus B? It's quite simple if you remember that cos is a lady. You would simply say cos A, because if you can remember, go to schools, go to parks, go to public places, ladies, they like to group themselves as ladies. So that's why here we'll probably have cos A sitting with cos B there. You understand? So ladies, they like to be together. And you know the nature of ladies, guys. One minute she can be happy, then the next minute she can be sad. This minute she's angry, this minute she's happy, she's it's a lot, guys. So ladies, they usually change their moods, so that's why the negative will change to plus. And then now sine, you take that as a man, isn't it? Sine, those are the guys, right? Or the men. So that's why here you then have sine A, and then you'll have sine B. So the guys will be sitting that side while the ladies will be sitting that side. So that means if I happen to have cos A plus B, that will probably be again the ladies sitting together, right? And then the lady changes her mood from plus to minus, and then you have the men sitting there. So using these, good people, you're probably not gonna need the formula sheet, but it is there just to confirm whether you wrote things correctly. And then now, what about sine A minus B? Right. Well, we as men, we don't really mind sitting with with you guys. I mean, if I go to a class, or if I go in a taxi, if I go in a taxi and then I see a seat whereby a lady is sitting alone, and then a man is sitting alone, trust me, I'll probably sit with the lady. So it's gonna be sine A now sitting with the lady, which is cos B. Okay, and we as men, we don't really change our moods, right? We are like this today, tomorrow, and forever. That's why here you still have negative. While we also embrace sharing. I mean, if it happens that I'm in a date somewhere, and then I ordered wings, and then you as the lady, you ordered ribs, I don't mind you taking my wings just to take a bite and taste. So that is why here cos will take the A, and then Mena, I can take the B there. Okay, so that is how sine is probably remembered there. Okay, so it's just a man sharing with a lady, and then he doesn't change his mood, and then he also embraces sharing, meaning you can take the A as the lady, and then may now take the B as the man. Then here, if it is positive, right, same thing, guys. Go into a taxi there, I'll probably sit next to the lady, and then I don't really change, we don't change the mood, so it will still be plus. And then now we embrace sharing, that's why cos would start with that A, and then sine will probably take the B. So these are the formulas for compound angles, guys. And then now, how do we use the formulas? So using them is quite easy, but if you remember the formulas. So if you happen to have, let's just say, so let's say we have cos 60 degrees plus x. What you would need to do there, right? You would say, it's a lady, right? So it will be cos 60 degrees and then cos x. Okay, then she changes her mood to minus, and then the men are sitting there, take the x, the other one is having 60, and then that one the x. Good people, because we have 60 degrees is a special angle, so we're probably gonna use our triangles. So this is gonna be 60 degrees, this is gonna be 30 degrees. This is the 1 2 3 triangle, 1 2 3, then you put the root there. Okay, so for cos 60 you would say adjacent over hypotenuse, so that is why you would have 1 over 2 there, and then you'll have cos x. While for sine 60, right, you would say opposite over hypotenuse, meaning that you would say root 3 over 2, and then you'll have sine x. Good people, you are okay if you have did it like this. Okay, you can also, take maybe half as a common factor. If you want, you can take half as a common factor, but let me just show you what taking a common factor is. So if I want you to just maybe process this a bit, so we're just gonna go through it again. If you have cos 60 plus x, you're gonna use the formula for cos, because here it's a plus, in the middle we're gonna have a minus, so we're gonna say cos 60 times cos x, and then sine 60 times sine x. This is what we have there. Then cos 60, you're gonna use this triangle here and say cos is adjacent. According to SOHCAHTOA, cos is adjacent over hypotenuse, so the one that is adjacent to 60 is 1, and then the hypotenuse is 2. While for sine 60, you'd want to say the opposite, which is root 3 over 2. Then from there you can take half as a common factor. Taking half as a common factor means you're gonna divide here by a half, you're gonna divide here by a half, then outside you're gonna write half. Okay, that is taking a common factor there. So you would have half into cos x, because this and that they cancel, minus, now here the answer would be root 3. If you say this divided by a half, the answer should be root 3, and then you'll have sine x. Then yeah, you would have probably simplified it to the best of your abilities. Okay, so that is how we use the compound angles. It's just about making sure you identify your angles. Let's just try that one more time. Let's say you had sine x minus 45 degrees, right? So sine, dealing with the man there, so the man would take x, and then you would probably see a lady there, and then the lady would take the 45. Then the man doesn't change, and then he embraces sharing, so you probably let you take the x, while he instead would take the 45. Okay, all right. Oh, by the way, that thing about wings and ribs, guys, it's actually a true life story, eh? Right, but it's a story for another day. So we'll have sine x, right, and then have cos 45. Now cos 45, we will need the triangle, the 1 1 2 triangle, guys. So the 1 1 2 triangle is like this, 1 1 2. Okay, you put the root on the 2, so you have 45 there, and then you have 45. So when you say cos 45, you probably want to say the adjacent over the hypotenuse, which is 1 over root 2. This is where our teachers catch us whether we use the calculator or not, because if you use a calculator, you're gonna be writing it as root 2 over 2, which means you've used the calculator. We probably want to make sure that you write it as 1 over root 2, and then here you have cos x, and then the sine 45, this is 45, opposite is 1, hypotenuse is 1 over root is root 2, so you're gonna have 1 over root 2 there. then you probably want to take 1 over root 2 as a common factor there. And for you to do that, that means you divide by 1 over root 2, you divide by 1 over root 2, then outside, please do not forget, outside you write the 1 over root 2. So if you have done something like that, that means you should probably have now your answer as 1 over root 2 into this and that cancel, you're left with only sine x, minus this and that cancel, you're only left with cos x. Good. So that is the expansion of sine x minus 45. Great. Very nice, guys. I hope that we understand this thing. So that is how we'll be working with them. Now try this one on your own. Let's just say I give you cos x minus 45. Actually, let's say x minus 75 degrees. Try that on your own and maybe try to get the answer there. How do we do that? So you'd probably want to write the formula, right? So in terms of cos, that's a lady, she'll probably have cos x there, then you'll probably have cos 75 degrees, and then from there you'll have plus, because she changes her mood, then you'll have sine x and sine 75 there. Okay, then from there, guys, when you look at this, obviously it is a bit difficult because now we don't have what you call special angles of 75. However, you can write this as a combination of two special angles. So this is what we usually do when you find angles that are not number one, all angles that are below 90 degrees. Okay, angles that are below 90 degrees, you have to try by all means to write them as a combination of two special angles if possible. So that cos 75, I can write it as cos of maybe 45 degrees plus 30 degrees. Remember, if you say 45 plus 30, you get what? 75. So same thing here, guys. That sine 75, I would write it as sine 45 plus 30 degrees. Okay, then from there I can simplify. I can say, okay, I still have cos x. Now cos 45 and 30 there, now it's gonna be a bit long. Let me just write it here. So what we're gonna have, let me open a big bracket and then write it inside. We're gonna have cos 45 times cos 30, right? Because it is a lady there, then she changes her mood, so you have minus, then sine 45 and then sine 30 degrees. Good. Then from there you can open that, close that. Yeah, it's still very, very long, so probably we'll wanna move back a bit so that we can accommodate all the numbers there. Then you will have plus, okay, and then you will have sine x, and then into what you're gonna have into, then you can write that sine 45. Remember, that is a man, so it's gonna be sitting with the lady, so sine 45 and cos 30, and then the sign does not change, and then you embrace sharing there, and then you can have the 30 degrees. Ooh, too many colors. So then from there you simplify, guys, now using the triangles. So those triangles, remember I told you it is the 1 2 3 triangle, which has 30 at the top and 60 at the bottom degrees. Then we have the 1 1 2 triangle, which is 1 1 2, which has 45 degrees and 45 degrees. So now you will have cos x. Cos 45 would give you a 1 over root 2. Okay, 1 over root 2, while cos 30 cos is adjacent over that, so that would be root 3 over 2, right? Then minus sine 45, that would be opposite over hypotenuse, which is 1 over root 2, and then sine 30, that would be 1 over 2. Okay, then you'll have sine x here, right? Then sine 45 would be 1 over 2. Okay, and then cos 30 would be root 3 over 2, and then cos 45 would be 1 over root 2, and then sine 30 would be 1 over 2. Okay, so I'm just simply using the triangles, guys. So then here you can use a calculator to find the answer inside there. I think the answer you should have there is like root 3 minus 1 all over 2 root 2. Okay, then here you're gonna have what you call what are we gonna have there? Yeah, there is root 3 over 4 plus a 1, right? A 1 over 2 root 2. Then yeah, I can put that in a calculator, but basically once you've reached this far, you have actually done your part. Okay, so that is how we do that, good people. It's all about making sure that, number one, if you are given this, you use the formulas. However, if now this is not a special angle, then you have to break it down into 2 special angles. Okay, so the common breakdowns of special angles are as follows. 75 degrees, you can break it down into 45 degrees plus 30 degrees. 15 degrees, you can break it down into 45 degrees minus 30 degrees. What else usually that they like? What else? 90, no. Yeah, but yeah, these are the most common ones in terms of those that can be written like that. These are the most common, but we also have, like, if I have 60 minus 45, what will I get? 60 degrees minus 45 degrees. 60 minus 40, yeah, it's 15 degrees again. So 15 degrees can also be written like this. Then 75 degrees, if you want, you can also write it as okay, what is 60 plus 45? 60 plus 45, I think, is 105. Okay, but 105, no, because it's bigger. Check now, this one is bigger than what you call 90. It's bigger than 90, so this one you probably want to use 180 minus theta for it. Okay, you'd want to use 180 minus theta. But then these ones that are below, right, meaning 75 and 15, usually you want to break them down like this for as compound angles. So this is the breakdown of some of the common angles, meaning the one that usually appears. Okay, so that is how you break them down. So that is compound angles, guys. If you find yourself having, for example, let's just say you are given cos 15 degrees, you are able to write this as cos 45 degrees minus what? 30 degrees. Then you apply the formula now to say you're gonna have cos 45, cos 30, you change the sign, then you have sine 45, then you have sine 30. Then from there you apply the formula. I mean, you use the triangles. Okay, the 1 1 2 triangle and the 1 2 3 triangle. Then you should be okay. Okay, so I hope that that is clear, guys. That is how we deal with these compound angles. Now, questions that you also be getting would be in this format, that maybe you might have now the reverse process. I'm gonna call it the reverse process. What is the reverse process? That's if, let's just say, you have sine x cos 45, and then you have minus cos x sine 45. If you find yourself having this type of situation here, you need to pause, take a minute, and then relax. The reverse process is condensing. You need to condense this thing into one single trig ratio. So and how you will see it is all the time. If you have sine multiplied by cos and then cos multiplied by sine, you know you're gonna be doing this. Or if you happen to have cos times cos and then sine and sine separated by that. So basically it's being given this part. If we give you these parts, you must be able to write them as their compressed, contracted parts. Okay, so how you do that is to you simply have to have this thing. You must have your formulas to solve them. So I'm probably gonna take those formulas that side so that we can solve. So here are our formulas here. So what I simply need to do is to match this, what I'm given, with the formula. So I do see sine and cos. Which formula is sine and then cos? This has sine and then cos. Alright, and then after that it has cos and then sine. Cos and then sine. I think my friend usually called it sikoko. He had these abbreviations he used to use. They were quite helpful. Just that I was always a fan of just having my formulas and then I match. Okay, so you can see, guys, since this is sine cos, sine cos, cos sine, cos sine, sine cos, cos sine, but I need to choose. Now it means I have to choose from these two. These ones are already out, né? So I need to choose from these two. Then I check the sign now. The sign is minus. If the sign is minus, then we take this one. So that means my answer here should be what? That means my answer here should be sine. Then I'm gonna take the first angle as my A. So I'm gonna take that X as my A, and then I'll put the what? The minus, and then I take this one as my B. So that's how you would condense it there. So you must make sure that when you are given, you condense it in that way. Number 2, let's just say you have cos y sine x, and then you have cos y cos x, and then you have plus sine y sine x. So if you have something like this, also you need to match, right? So what do we have there? You have cos cos, and then you have sine sine. So cos cos sine sine is these ones, cos cos sine sine. Now I have to look at the symbol sign there. The sign is plus. That means I'm dealing with this one, and when it's condensed it's like this. So the answer there should probably be what? Because the first angle would be my A, and then the second one I must use minus, right? And then I say X. So that is how you condense them, guys. You just have to make sure that you remember your formulas, right? Sometimes they might not put it as directly as this, right? What I mean is that you can get something like let's just say cos p sine 20 degrees, ne? And then they say minus sine p cos 20 degrees. So you get something like this. So when you get that, you try to check now, okay, which one does it fall under? So I see cos sine, sine cos, cos and then sine. It's not here. I don't see any one that starts with cos and then goes with sine, you see. But I do see the one that starts with sine and then cos, right? this one, sine and then cos. So what you need to do first before you can solve the question would be to rearrange. So you need to write this as minus sine p and then have the cos 20 here, then write this one as plus cos p and then sine what? Sine 20. After you have written it like that, the next step now would be to since it starts with a negative, there is no formula that starts with a negative, so you need to take the negative out. Now remember, taking the negative out means you write negative outside, then you say negative times negative is positive, so you're gonna have this, and then you say negative times positive is negative, then you're gonna have this. Okay, then once you have this, now you can then go to the formulas. Sine cos is these two, those are the ones are having sine and then cos. Now in the middle you have minus, then you have minus, so it means the one we're using is this one. So you write the negative outside, then you say the answer inside will be sine, you will have p, you must put a minus and then the 20 degrees there. Okay, so those are the ones that won't be straightforward. So if they are not straightforward, you need to make sure that you rearrange, then you should be okay. So what we will be covering in our next lesson is going to be the double angles. Okay, but right now please expect worksheets on compound angles and all the things we have done so far. Okay, so just expect some worksheets whereby you'll be answering questions, and then from there we would have to do double angles so that we go to Cartesian plane. In no time then we will be done with trig. Okay, so please follow along, guys. This was your compound angle formulas, and then how we deal with them. So we have talked about how to expand them, just like we did here, just like we did there, and then just like we did here. And then we then added or introduced that if you have some angles that are not part of special angles, you can break them down into the compound angles and then expand. Okay, then we then talked about now how do you contract. So this is the contraction type of questions, whereby the first ones are just the easy ones that you would usually get or that you can get easily, and then these ones are the ones that need a bit of work. When you see that this formula is not the same as the one that is here, what you simply do is to make sure that you rearrange first. After rearranging, you take your negative as a common factor. Remember, taking negative as a common factor means you just write it out, then you multiply it throughout there, then you should get the right formula and then your answer. So I hope that was clear. We'll then see you guys next time.